Hello everyone! Welcome back to my channel. I am Audrey Deshe. This is Designed by Deshe, and today I'm going to show you guys how I made a Valentine's Day candle set. This was the perfect opportunity for me because I definitely wanted to get something in last minute for Valentine's Day, but I also wanted to try out a few different candle techniques. So, everything collided, and this is what I came up with. To start off, I'm melting some white soy wax in my wax warmers or wax melters, whichever you want to call it. I fill these to about the top on the first go because once this melts down, it's going to melt down to maybe half the capacity, probably less, and then I can add more as needed. While this soy wax does its thing in the warmers, I am going to move on to prepping my half-used Dollar Tree pillar candles. I had two used red ones and one used pink one, and I figured of course that would be perfect for Valentine's Day. So I covered a Dollar Tree pizza plate in foil, and then I'm just going to pop these pillar candles into my oven at 300 degrees for about 15 minutes. That won't melt them completely, but it will allow me to transfer them to the wax warmers later so I can continue to work. And to get that pink one, all I did was melted down a white pillar candle and then dropped a pink candle in it and let it melt together and dyed it. For today's project, I'll be using these small pillar molds. I will also be using these super cute tiny rose molds. I'll be using popsicle sticks. I have tons of wicks. I also found these cute candy heart and rose silicone baking molds from CVS of all places. I've got my thermal gloves, and now I am prepping my workspace. To do so, I love using packing paper because it's really cheap. I can get a ton of it for just $1 on one roll, and I get multiple uses out of it, and it covers and protects perfectly. And let's get right into it, guys. I have already poured my white wax into my pillar molds. I have poured a small foundation of red into the candy hearts. I let that dry, and then I layered some pink on top of that. I have also layered different colors, I believe red and pink, into those rose molds and let those dry. So, I'm just going to show you guys what I am going to do from here on out. As I mentioned, I'm going for a multicolored effect on these roses. So on top of some pink, some red, I think maybe even a little bit of white, I'm now going over with some red. And as you can see, I'm not bringing that all the way to the top because I'm going to go after that with some pink to finish it off later. And speaking of pink, I'm just dumping the last of the what was left in the pillar candle into the warmer. And as I mentioned, I got that pink color by melting down a white pillar candle and then dropping a pink dragon fruit votive candle from Dollar Tree into it. And so now, to continue with the same consistency of pink, I'm just going to add the dragon fruit candle directly into my warmer from here on out. That will give me the same consistency of pink throughout, without me having to dilute it by adding white soy wax to it to stretch it out. Those votive candles come 3 for $1.25, so I just bought a ton of those, and I'll just keep melting those down. Not only will it give me that pretty pink color, but it is dragon fruit scented, and it's the only scented wax and candle that I'll be working with because I didn't feel like scenting today. So it's nice. It'll give that really fruity, airy, floral kind of scent to all of these Valentine's Day candles. Now that the white wax that's in the pillar molds is starting to solidify just a little bit, it's starting to get a little cloudy, I am adding my wicks. I'm using my popsicle sticks to kind of hold it in place, and in just a little bit after it hardens just a touch more, I'm going to start my marbling effect. So this was my first time trying out the marbling effect, and it was pretty easy. I have a little bit to refine, but it is a pretty straightforward process. I just took a Q-tip and I took some wax dye and I put a couple of drops in there. And what I'm doing is just going along the side and just kind of tracing little swirly patterns, little abstract things. You can't really see it too much in here. I am going to try again because I want to try getting the colors to come out a bit more vibrantly. So the next time I'll do it in a glass container so you guys can really see. But I'm layering in some red on the smaller pillar candle. And I'm just kind of going around. You can kind of see how it's changing colors a little bit. And I'm also going to add some red and some purple to the larger one. So I wanted to try out, multicolored. So as that slides out of the mold later, I will show you guys how it turned out. And with that part done, I'm just going to use those popsicle sticks again to hold the wick in the center as it dries. And yeah, those are going to be left to dry overnight. I'm now taking some of that pink dragon fruit wax and I'm pouring that into the top of the rose molds. That will go all the way to the top because I'm not layering anything else over it, and then those will be left to harden overnight as well. And I'm now taking my red wax and I'm pouring that into the top of the candy heart molds. As I mentioned before, there is a layer of red on bottom and then a layer of pink in the middle. And now I'm finishing off with red, so that will have a nice striped effect. And I think that's going to look super cute. That's now going to be left to dry overnight as well. To fill those tiny rose silicone molds, I just use my droppers. I have a bunch of these. I use them specifically for candle making, and what I'm doing is just pulling in the wax and I am putting in enough to fill the little mold all the way to the top, maybe even overflow it, because you don't want to pour this too thin. You want it to be thick enough that it's going to get into all of those nooks and crannies so that whenever you peel these, the wax out of the molds, you will have an actual rose with all of those beautiful little petals and all of those details. All right, now we're going to set that off to the side and start working on this jar candle. I found this really cute little jar at Dollar Tree like a million years ago, and I've been waiting for the right moment to use it, and so here it is. It's going to be a candle. To start off, I'm pouring the last of my red wax for the moment into the bottom. I'm going to clean out that, the canister for that, and then I'm going to dump some white wax in there. I decided to leave a hint of the red wax still in there because I kind of want this to be mostly white, but with maybe a hint of a pink undertone, and that's why I'm adding a ton of white wax to really dilute any of the red. So if it does show up, it'll be as a really, really light pink. So I'm going in with my funnel to make sure that my wax doesn't pour all along the side, and you should always do that whenever you're doing multi-layered colors. But you should also let your first layer dry good enough, because I did not, and my wax fell right through. I thought I'd given it enough time, but I didn't. So the colors ended up mixing together, and there's not much of a color difference. The second layer is a little lighter, but not what I was going for. So I let that layer dry for about 2 hours before going in with that same color, hoping to get a better result, and you guys will see when it dries, it is the perfect light pink and exactly what I wanted. I am so pleased with how it turned out, so now I am just going in with that darker pink dragon fruit to finish it off. And now I left this in here to show you guys why safety is very important, always and all the time. You should always protect your workspace, and you should always be wearing your thermal gloves or other protective gear, because this wax is extremely hot and this is a very messy process. So, you can get burned, you can ruin your surfaces, all that stuff. So, safety first. I'm done with this candle for the moment, so I'm leaving it to dry overnight. And with the last of my melted wax, since I don't like to waste anything, I'm pouring the white in a thin kind of layer into the rose mold. And I'm doing that because I'm thinking about maybe wax melts or, maybe candle toppers. So I'm just pouring that really thin. And then I also decided to pour this dragon fruit thin as well before mixing the last of the dragon fruit with the white wax to make a really, really light pink color, because, why not? Now, I really don't like to leave anything behind, so I am going to melt down the last of this red candle. And while that is, melting down and doing its thing, I'm going to take this super light pink color and I am going to pour that into one of the candy heart molds. And then also I'm going to pour a thin layer of it into one of the last two available rose molds. Now, I did not get footage of me pouring this red wax, but once it was melted down, I did go ahead and pour, a nice little layer into the red silicone mold for the roses. And then I also poured the last of it into a candy heart and it came out pretty full. So I'm gonna leave it to dry overnight. And here we are. It is bright and early the next day. Everything has set fully and completely. It's already looking really nice. So I'm going to go ahead and peel all this out and show you guys how it all came out. Everything is, pretty solid and everything else, so it's not super fragile, especially on the deep molds. But on the really thin ones, you should definitely take your time when peeling those out because the thinner it is, the more apt it is to break. Can I just say, I love how those roses, the multicolored ones, came out. It's so cute. But yes, as you'll see, as I'm starting to peel off some of these thinner ones, the white one, I believe, does crack. So, just be careful. And now I'm going to get in here and get these candy heart candles out and show you guys how those turned out as well. If you'll remember, these are layered, so there should be a really pretty pink stripe effect in the middle, and I'm pretty excited to see how that turned out. And there it is, guys. I am really happy with how that turned out. I think it's so cute, and I kind of actually like that there's a little bit of bleed over because it makes it look like actual candy. You know how they're not just like perfectly uniform. There's always like a little bit of striation and stuff like that. So I'm very happy with it. I'm also really happy with the solid colored ones as well. I love how the candy heart, XOXO, Be Mine, and Cutie Pie, I think that came out really well. So I'm very pleased with these and will definitely be making more. And here are the pillar candles with the marble effect, and I like the way they came out, but I definitely want to play with the color intensity, and I will say that I absolutely should have used a releasing agent because it was very difficult to kind of work these out of the molds, and because of that the candles got kind of smushed a little bit, like they're kind of flaky. So I will definitely continue to play with these, but I do like the colors. I will just continue to play around with getting the different effect and the intensity that I want. And now I had mentioned that I had intentionally poured some of those roses kind of small and thin because I was thinking about candle toppers. So since the first layer of this jar candle is red, I wanted to end with red as well. So I'm just kind of going around and I'm peeling off some of the extra petals so that this can actually slide down into the jar. So and it is the right size now. So I'm taking a yarn needle and I'm going to poke a hole through here for the wick to go. Since this rose is really thin, I was able to push this needle through with just my fingers, and then I went ahead and threaded the wick through. I'm not going to melt the top layer of the candle to kind of stick the rose to it because it's already in a jar. It's not going to move. So once it's lit, it's all going to melt together anyway. And here we go, a custom Dollar Tree jar candle for Valentine's Day with a pretty rose on top. I love it. I'm going to trim that wick down and then set that off to the side while I work on wicking the rest of my candles. Some of those thick roses, it's too thick for me to just push the needle through, so I had to use my scissors for the assist in hammering it through. And then once I get through to the bottom, I will, show you guys how easy it is to add the wick. There is a bit of like a grip on the wick itself, so as you push it through, it's going to drill into the wax a little bit to hold in place. And I'm also using a yarn needle that's about the width of the wick itself. That way it's a kind of snug fit. I didn't want it just sliding around or easily slipping out or anything like that. And it's that easy, guys. I now have a wicked rose candle, and I did not damage the mold. That hole is really small. It's barely noticeable at all, and I think it turned out lovely. Now, I had always intended to use my tiny roses to help pretty up my marble candles, but now I'm very thankful for them because the tops of the marble candles came out a little misshapen because of working them out of the molds. And in arranging them, I noticed that I wasn't going to have enough roses to do both, but this is also why I made my candle toppers. So I'm using the dragon fruit pink one, and it's going to go on top of my larger pillar candle, and I think it is playing perfectly with that kind of light red, pink / purple that's marbling in that one. So that is going to go right on top. I just used the same method to make my hole for the wick, and now I'm sliding it on there. And after that, I'm actually going to melt the top layer, the bottom layer of the rose and the top layer pillar candle, and then I'm just going to, set them on top of each other so that they solidify together. And note, whenever you're doing your melting, you're not looking for giant puddles of wax or anything that's going to actually mess with the structure of your candles, just enough that it'll stick together. And there it is. I love it out. Adding that rose topper to it really was an easy way to cover those imperfections, and it looks like it was supposed to be doing that the entire time, so that's always a plus. I am also now just doing the exact same thing on my smaller candle. I melted the top and I'm pressing those small roses along it. And, once everything was in place, I didn't feel super secure. It felt like it might, the roses might still pop off. So what I did is got everything in place and then blasted everything together for, maybe 10 to 15 seconds with the blow dryer, just to make sure that these roses aren't going anywhere and that this is here for the long haul. And that is it for my small marble candle. This is definitely one of my favorites, so I'm setting that off to the side for now. I'm taking my craft bags and I'm rounding up all of those tiny little roses. I'm also taking the last two of the candle toppers and putting those in bags as well, and those will be presented and packaged as wax melts. So yeah, nothing wasted. And here it is, guys, the finished product, the complete set, and I cannot tell you how happy I am. This is for my mother, so I had to add some ribbons, a little razzle dazzle to help it shine, and I think she's gonna love it. Now, in my opinion, it would not be a Valentine's Day gift without being delivered in a super beautiful Valentine's Day box. So I did make my mom something custom to deliver all of this awesomeness in. And if you are interested in seeing how I made this gift box using Walmart, Dollar Tree, and leftover items that I had from around the house, feel free to check out that video. The link for it is in the description box, and it can be found in a few of my different playlists. Now, I am packing this up with tons of care because I do not want anything to happen to these candles between now and Valentine's Day. So I've added bubble wrap, I've gone in with 2 different colors of tissue paper, and because it's my mom and I want it to be really pretty and fancy, I'm adding some Walmart table scatter in there and some red and pink fake rose petals from Dollar Tree. And now I'm just going to let you guys see how I layered these candles in here. And while that's going on, I just wanted to take this time to thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I really love this project and I hope you loved it too. If you did, please don't be shy. Give me that like, that share, that subscription, hit that notification bell so that you don't miss anything that's coming out. I do have, I believe, 5 more Valentine's Day videos coming because I am super late and super last minute. So yeah, the ones that are out already are linked in the description box. And if not, you will be getting that notification for more coming soon. I also have a couple of furniture flips on the way. So yeah, keep checking back. I hope that you'll continue to enjoy what you see. And yeah, as per usual, I am Audrey Deshe. This is Designed by Deshe, and I cannot wait to see you guys on the next project.